This episode today is actually 3 different, well, segments. 2 short ones, 1 long one. The long one, the main one, the star of the show, is the Bose 901 Series 6. That was the last one in the series. It was the culmination of the state-of-the-art for Bose speakers. And I got a chance to listen to a minty fresh pair at Sky-Fi Audio in New Jersey. And yeah, I have a lot to say about Bose speakers. That's part 3. But in part 1, it's a call for your pictures. I want to see pictures of your systems. Yes, Audiophiliac viewer systems, an entire show of nothing but your systems. So what I need you to do is take pictures of your systems, and it could be new gear, vintage, tubes, solid state, analog, digital. Oh, and a special emphasis, by the way, on reel-to-reel machines. There's definitely something going on with you guys collecting and using reel-to-reel machines, so I'd like to see lots of those. But if you have a really cool car system, I'll take that, or in your plane or boat or something. It doesn't matter. What I need from you guys is great pictures. Now, I take all my pictures with a phone, so you already have the equipment to do that. So picture quality counts, composition counts. JPEG is the only acceptable format. I need a description of what's in the system in the same email as the pictures. And you're going to send them to me at the addresses on the screen right now, audiophiliac@mail.com. Not Gmail, audiophiliac@mail.com. And the next thing I want to talk about, short part here, is my Patreon. Just want to let you guys know that I am now making exclusive content just for my patrons. And these videos will not be shown here on the YouTube channel ever. It's just for my patrons. And it's a little incentive. That's it. It's an incentive for you to consider joining my Patreon. You can join for just a couple of bucks a month, up to $50 or $100 a month, etc., etc. You know the drill, right? But anyway, check out the Patreon page, and the address is on the screen right now. Now, as for Bose, well, what I originally had in mind was I wanted to review some Bose speakers. But what I mean by that is I want to review passive speakers, home hi-fi speakers. And I'm looking around on the Bose website, and I don't see any. I see little tiny Bluetooth speakers. I see lifestyle speakers. I see sound bars, even something that looks like it might have even qualified as a home theater in a box system. But nothing in, let's say, the audiophile category, even loosely defined audiophile category. No, they don't make passive speakers. They don't make hi-fi speakers at all. Now, the site is big, so it might be there and buried somehow. So if you can point me in that direction, I'd be happy to give it a second look. So I decided to, well, let me just connect with some Bose speakers. Maybe there's somebody out there in New York City that has a set of Bose, decent Bose speakers, 901s or 501s or something. And I put out the word on social media that I'm looking to listen to some Bose speakers. This is a couple of months ago, and nobody stepped up, not a single person. And then I put out the word to stores that sell, used stuff. Anybody got any 901s or 5? No one had a thing. And I thought, that is so weird. Bose is a huge company. They sold gazillions of speakers over the years. But then Fernando over at Sky-Fi Audio in Glen Rock, New Jersey, he stepped up and said, yes, he just got in a pair of 901 Series 6, which is the last incarnation of the speaker, and they're in really good condition, and if I want to come by and listen, I could. And I said, that's great. So that's what I did. And I also did a tour of the shop because he has a lot of cool equipment. That's a separate video from this one, but that will follow up shortly. But anyway, I get to the store, and there they are looking absolutely minty fresh, 901 Series 6 with the dedicated Bose equalizer. The amplifier that he had hooked up to them was Macintosh MA5200, so good stuff. Now, the thing is, it's a store. There's a lot of stuff in this store. There's no real bare walls. But he did have a pair of Magnepan timpanis. Yeah, those are the things behind the 901s, and that'll do. The 901 was introduced, the original one, Series 1, came out in 1968. And in 1968, I was then, in 1968, reading all those reviews, those raves, and stereo reviews, High Fidelity, and Audio Magazine, and other magazines. And this was like a new type of speaker. It was a direct reflecting speaker. There was 8 drivers on the back of the 901 that faced the wall, and 1 driver facing forward. They were all 4-inch full-range drivers. So it was very different than anything else that was on the scene in 1968. And it promised a more concert hall experience, you know, because you're hearing all these reflections, which are part of the sound of recorded music, etc., etc., right? So it was a really big deal at the time. And I should point out that back in 1968 and 1970, that speaker was totally out of my price range. But I was really intrigued by the Bose direct reflecting sound thing, and I did buy a pair of Bose 501s. I got the speakers, and when I heard them for real at home, wasn't exactly matching up to my fantasy, but it was okay. And I had them for about a year, and then I heard a speaker that I fell in love with. It was Fried, this British brand, Fried, that made transmission lines, and it was a Fried Model R. And I was knocked out, and I sold the 501s to a friend of mine, and I bought the Fried Rs, and that was my entry into high-end audios with that Fried speaker. So the Bose, my chapter with Bose ended rather abruptly back then. But anyway, I wanted to see how I felt about these 901s Series 6, the pinnacle of 901 state-of-the-art, now in 2024. So as I started my listening sessions, I was immediately brought down to earth. That this speaker, well, how can I say this gently? It's not a high-end sounding speaker. This isn't doing that at all. Is it even a mid-fi level sounding speaker? If you want to be very generous with that definition, I suppose it is. It sounded, well, the highs, I know what some of you are thinking, the highs are grainy and coarse and opaque. Highs are not great. Now I did, and the bass, you could vary how much bass and treble you had with the equalizer. They were very adjustable, and we messed around with them trying to make it better. So the highs never got good. The bass was either not enough bass or too much bass, or you could center in around just the right amount of bass. But it wasn't particularly powerful. I mean, it's not a great sounding speaker. I mean, sometimes as I was listening to different types of music, I was listening to the Rolling Stones, I was listening to this punk rock thing called, is it punk rock? Yeah, New York Noise, which I love this record. I just bought the LP yesterday on Discogs. Anyway, the sound was very underwhelming. Now, it is sort of a dipole speaker. There's all the sound coming out of the back of the speaker with those 8 4-inch drivers and 1 4-inch driver facing forward. So you hear a lot of reflected sound. That's the whole idea of the speaker. And yes, in that sense, it is an open sounding speaker. Now, I've heard way more conventional speakers with, box speakers with a tweeter and a mid-range and a woofer on the front that were more open than this. But in any case, that is their strength, that they are open sounding speakers. And they look really cool. Those stands are gorgeous. The whole industrial design of the speaker is really nice. Definitely something going on there. But in terms of sound, now, I have heard, as they say, people are saying that the original model 901, the Series 1 that came out in 1968, it was really, really, really hard to drive. But if you had a powerful enough amplifier, which was tough in 1968, they could sound really good. Some say it's the best sounding 901 of all. As each generation went by, they were trying to make them easier and easier to drive, so maybe something was lost along the way. But I'm thinking, it's interesting that they don't make it anymore. That they stopped, for some reason, they stopped refining the sound in 2017. That's kind of weird. This is their flagship. This is the speaker that started Bose. This is the speaker that put Bose on the map. Audiophiles, certainly all over the United States, possibly the world, were thinking about this speaker. And by 2017, Bose, the company, was no longer interested in holding on to their flagship, and they just let it go. That's sad. Now, Klipsch, the other side of the street, makers of horn speakers since 1946 in the USA, they still make, Klipsch still makes the original model, the Klipsch horn. That speaker debuted in 1946, still in production. I don't think it's ever been out of production. People definitely are still buying the original, well, the current version of the Klipsch horn. That is amazing. So there's a difference there in their approach. Obviously, that Bose decided to move on and just focus on headphones and car audio and tiny little lifestyle speakers. Hey, do what you do. But it's interesting that well, for their time, their high-tech heritage of the company, of pushing the envelope, pushing the state-of-the-art in 1968, by 2017, they're like, nah, we don't care anymore. So it seems to me. So anyway, I went in with low expectations. I came out actually disappointed that the 901 Series 6 was just didn't do a thing for me. Now, I have a feeling that some of you guys watching this video own 901s of various vintages. And I'd love to hear from you guys about what you think of the 901 sound. Maybe this one just wasn't, I don't know. But anyway, I want to hear from you guys, or any Bose speakers that were of the, let's say, hi-fi or not high-end, but audiophile, mid-fi category, however you want to describe it. If you own a Bose speaker and you're very satisfied with the sound, I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below this video. I do want to thank Fernando and his crew for their hospitality the other day at the store. It's a great store, and I'm going to be doing a separate video of a tour of Sky-Fi Audio in a week or two or three. And that's it. So let us move on to, you know it, you love it, and this is an example of the kind of stuff that I want to see from you guys. Audiophiliac viewer system of the day pictures, and feel free to start snapping now and send me really beautiful, well-composed, well-lit pictures. But anyway, let's take a look at today's episode, today's viewer system of the day. This is Jim's system. He lives in Longmont, Colorado. The integrated amplifier is an NAD M33. Turntable VPI Scout 1.1 with a 9T tone arm, a couple of cartridges, Audio-Technica 9XSL, and an Audiophile 2M Black LVB. The speakers look familiar. Those are Zoo DWX on custom stands. Also, speaking of custom, there's a custom retro atomic black record cabinet. Oh yeah. A couple of headphones, Dan Clark Aeons, and also Mass Drop X Sennheiser HD6XX. Cables are by SVS and AudioQuest. Oh, one thing that caught my eye, a vintage Zero-Stat disc washer vinyl cleaner box set. Thank you, Jim. That's it for today. Thank you again for watching, and I really do hope to see you back here again very, very soon. Bye-bye.